Yo, what's up? It's Tuna. Hope you're having a good day. I just wanted to go over a strategy that I've been doing for the last 3 or so days that involves harvest crafting. I've really been enjoying doing the strategy because it gives me some sort of projects to look forward to, things to do in the meantime while mapping and things like that. And I really enjoy crafting, so it just goes in hand with what I enjoy doing in the game, which is running maps and crafting in the process. I think it's a really good way to make currency. In the last 4 days, I've made about 350x doing this. And that's, I haven't been playing as much as I usually would. Maybe 7 hours a day or something like that. And then just AFKing in my head out the rest of the evening. Watching some TV series or whatever. Been finishing off Dark. I think that's really good. It's a good series. So, yeah. Let's just talk about what I've been doing. What I've been crafting. These are the bases that I've been storing up for harvest crafting. You can see that I have a lot of 6-link astral plates. I reforge physical on these until I hit explode. Enemies explode. And if I hit tier 2, then I will use this craft tier. Which I'm going to talk a lot about this craft because this craft is actually insane. Reforge a rare being much more likely to receive the same modifiers. So this will reroll the item with a high chance to get the same modifiers on it. So there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be getting a tier 1 out of a tier 2. But most of the time you get unlucky and the modifier leaves and you have to start again. Reforging Fizz Plus, things like that. So yeah, I reforged Fizz on Crusader chests. Item level 86 plus. 86 is so we can, this is going to be the host. So this is what people will walk orb into. And we want it to be item level 86 so we can get tier 1 life and things like that. I also use Hunter astral plates, and the reason why we use Hunter is because it also has like curse and things like that. It has crit, attack crit, caster crit. So what I will do to this one is I will reforge with crit, crit, attack and caster. This is so we can then elevate attack crit, caster crit, or essentially just use it as a +1 curse base, which is a prefix, which is why we reroll caster on it. And then this can be what people, again, walk orb into. We do the same with Val Regalias and things like that. For Astral Plates, we do attack. That's for the minus mana cost to attacks for Cyclone Boys. So, yeah, we do that on these Warlord Astral Plates as well. But the main thing that I've been crafting is actually boots and quivers, as well as jewels. I don't recommend you do large cluster jewels. It's very hard to actually land a good cluster jewel. As you can see, is a base that I've been working on for a while. So what I will do is I will get a base like this with 2 good prefixes. And then once I have the 2 good prefixes, I will go to my harvest bench. And if I have one, reforge a rare, keeping all prefixes. You can see that I have 2 good prefixes and I will reforge this and I hope I get a good suffix. And I don't. So then we put it back. And until we get a good suffix, right? Let's talk about the watchstones real quick. This is something that we're not 100% sure of yet, but I've felt a difference. It might just be positive reinforcement or placebo, but I run 4 mature watchstones. People have told me that they stack, and it feels like they do stack. So harvest crops in the area have a chance to grow a higher tier plant. And with that, I've actually been getting a lot of these sort of, rare seeds, but we saw like 3 augments in the last 4 days. So it's not like insane in that regard. But yeah, so let's talk about boots. On the boots, I will reforge crit on these here, on the Redeemer boots. I will always buy a good boot base and have enchanted them as well while running lab. But yeah, I will always run a good base because people will most likely want a base to walk over into. And what I've been doing is I've been reforging crit on these until I end up with a base that has elusive and a suffix that's good. So ailment effect T1 or onslaught T1. And I can show you guys here. I've prepared a craft of Exile. So I'll get something like this, which has elusive on crit and T1 non-damaging ailment. And then what I will do with this base is I will put it aside and then I will Maven Orbit. And we are hoping to elevate the suffix. The reason why we want to elevate the suffix is because we want to start working with suffixes, which you will see later. Is when we woke orb 2 boots together, we will work with the suffixes. So the reason why we get a good boot base and why we roll for crit for elusive and then a suffix is because if you elevate elusive, in this case we didn't, but imagine we elevated... Okay, I'm getting lucky. Why don't I get this lucky in game? If we elevate elusive, you can sell this base at a 1x loss, right? So 1x for the base, you reroll, and then you use a Maven Orb for 4.4x, and you can sell it for like 5.5x. So it's like, you're going to sell it at like 1x loss, but if you do end up hitting the non-damaging ailment effect, then you've made big money. So it's about minimizing the amount of money that you've lost if you don't hit the mod that you want, right? So yeah, let me move the cam just over here so you guys can see better. Essentially, yeah, we're elevating the non-damaging ailment effect, and that's what we're doing. And the next stage is to then woke orb the non-damaging ailment effect with elevated tailwind. You can either buy an elevated tailwind base, which is 12x, or what I've been doing as well is I've been reforging anything into these boots. So chaos, fire, whatever. Any craft that I have left over, I just basically roll into this until I have tailwind. And if I have tailwind on its own, what I will do then is I will suffixes cannot be changed, reforge chaos, and that guarantees a chaos prefix. And what that does is that it makes another base which I can Maven Orb, because elevated tailwind bases are 12x. So the chances are that you will hit it one in 3 times, right? 1 in 3 times, it's a 50-50 chance, but 1 in 3 times you will hit it. So actually you will save money by doing this. Essentially, I've just been rolling that over and over again until I hit that. And then you end up with a base like this. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Because imagine you have a base like this, right? You have 2 suffixes and 3 prefixes. You think to yourself, what do we do from here? So what you do from here is you want to make sure that you craft a suffix. It doesn't matter what suffix you craft, but you craft a suffix, right? And then you go to harvest, you take others, and then you do reforge keeping suffixes, because we have 3 prefixes, so we need to make sure that we make a free prefix, right? So we reforge keep suffixes. Now we have 1 prefix. That means that now we can go to the crafting bench and we can craft suffixes cannot be changed. So that is a prefix. We go suffixes cannot be changed. We craft that on real quick. Now, what we want to do from here is we want to make sure that we reroll lightning. The reason we reroll lightning is because there is no other lightning modifiers that we can actually get on this item aside for lightning res. So this will 100% of the time ensure that we get lightning res. As you can see, this time we got tier 5, but essentially it doesn't guarantee what tier of lightning res you get, but it guarantees that you get lightning res. You can get really lucky sometimes and get tier 1. But as you can see, you always get lightning res. There's no question about it. So now that you have this base, the way that I usually finish these boots with non-damaging ailment effect is you have to craft suffixes cannot be changed once again. And then you reforge life. And then you have to reforge life until you have about tier 2 life or something like that. Tier 1, tier 2 is just fine. This is like honestly kind of the most expensive step and could be also the most frustrating step. But from here you have to Aisling Ashling Veil. So once you have your Ashling Veil, you will try to unveil movement speed. You make sure that you do not unveil movement speed cannot be chilled, because that is going to break the whole base. So you have to have movement speed with onslaught or movement speed if you haven't been hit recently. And those 2 are the most important ones to get on there. So once you have that, then you just finish it off with cannot be frozen, right? Once you've unveiled your movement speed, of course. And this boot here can sell for about 50 to 60x. If it had T1 life and T1 res, it could be about 70 to 80x. So just keep that in mind. These are very, very good boots. Another boot base though that is much easier to craft is a tailwind with onslaught, and these sell as well for a lot of currency. So the reason why you want to make this base, if you do end up landing onslaught instead of non-damaging ailment effect here on your base, is what you're gonna do is you will again do the trick where you craft suffixes cannot be changed, because we have 3 prefixes. So we go on a prefix mod pool. Suffixes cannot be changed. Let's craft that on. Oh, sorry. We're at the stage where we need to craft something. So we'll just craft whatever, and then we reforge keeping suffixes. Okay, now we have a free prefix. We go to prefixes. Suffixes cannot be changed. We add that in. And then what we will do from here again is a reforge lightning. So making sure that we are in the right one. Reforge lightning. That guarantees lightning res. Cool. So it is really easy from here to proceed. You can try to reforge speed if you want, but generally it's just it's always better to just like ashling and then just finish the boots off, right? But essentially what you will do from here is you will take crit and you will craft again. Suffixes cannot be changed. Oh wow, we ended up with a 3 prefix place again. So we have to reforge keeping suffixes. We reforge keeping suffixes. Now we have a free prefix. And then we craft suffixes cannot be changed. Reforge critical. Boom. And that will always guarantee elusive. And this is what you can see is the base that you can probably see on the market. That has elusive, tailwind, an onslaught, and a lightning res. This is the most likely one to hit. And from here you will ashling again, and you will you have a 95% chance once again to hit you know, your movement speed and things like that. So yeah, then you get movement speed, and then you finish it off with a life craft at the very end. And that's how you make these boots. So yeah, that is how I make the boots. But I want to talk about the quiver real quick, because these quivers are actually really good currency. And this is the second thing that I've been crafting as a crafting project. So I will reforge attack, as you can see here. Reforge attack plus is the best one to have until we have elemental damage and bows fire and additional arrow. Those are the prefixes that we are looking for. And then what you will do from here is you will craft. Let's go to our bench prefixes. You will craft life. It doesn't matter what tier, but let's just put this tier here for now. Then we go back to our harvest, and then we reforge more likely. And so when we do that, it has a chance to obviously give us trash, but more often than not, it will keep our prefixes and it will give us elemental damage with attacks, life, and additional arrow. As you can see, we can just keep doing that. It's not guaranteed, obviously, and that's why these quivers are very expensive, but you can get lucky. As you can see here, you do 3 of these reforges, and you see we kept life, we kept additional arrow, and we kept elemental damage with attack skills. What you do from here, from this stage on, is you want to reforge keeping prefixes so that we have a free suffix, right? And boom, so we do that. We have a free suffix. We ended up with attack speed, which is good craft, but we don't want this on, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be crafting the suffix. Prefixes cannot be changed. We craft prefixes cannot be changed on there, and then we reforge. Reforge plus is the best one that you can use here. We reforge plus crit. And in this case, we got extremely unlucky, but essentially you reforge plus crit. And then at some point, you're going to end up with, you know, critical strike with bows and critical multi with bows. And this might take a few attempts, obviously. It's not like it's not exactly like cheap, but you will at some point end up with a really good quiver. I'm not exactly sure why it's only giving me 1 suffix. Usually it gives me like 2 suffixes. Another thing that you could do is if you end up with critical strike chance and anything else that's good, you know, like something like this. See, this is perfect, because from here we can ashling and then we finish it off with an attack speed craft, right? So this is what you're looking for. You're looking for T1 critical strike chance with bows or T1 critical strike multi. So yeah, you end up with a base like this, and then you ashling again, and then you get any of the good ashling mods, and then you end up with crafted attack speed or something like that, right? So usually it doesn't take this many reforges. But you can just emulate how much it takes, how long it takes to get something good. Eventually you'll end up with a good craft on there. Even like maybe tier 3 you wouldn't keep, but yeah, maybe tier 2 you can keep, and you can sell these for like anywhere from 40x to 50x. A perfect one. So if you have T1 elemental damage with attack skills, additional arrow, life, T1 crit chance, and T1 crit multi with a craft, or T1 crit chance, or sorry, with T1 crit multi with crafted ashling, crit chance, and elemental damage suffix, and attack speed craft, that can sell for upwards of 100x. So essentially, crafting is all about making prefix or suffix bases and then finishing them off with meta mods and then reforges to then end up, you know, with something insane that you can sell. And we have also been working on rings, right? So assassin mark rings is something else that I wanna look at. So you end up with a base like this by reforging caster plus, and these actually take quite a bit, but you get so many caster reforges in harvest that, you know, it's just gonna be like things that you do over time with all the bases that you have stocked up in your stash tabs. So yeah, you just do that until you end up with like assassin's mark, a resistance. Any resistance is fine. And there's two ways to finish this ring now. There's for Chainbreaker Berserk, they want mana regen, or you could just do it with 2 resistances, right? So what you can do here is you can craft a resistance. You can either go for all res, or it doesn't matter, like cold res. So we just craft that on. And then what you can do is you go back to harvest and you other reforge more likely. So boom. And what you're aiming for is not this. What you're aiming for is to keep your assassin's mark. As you can see, it's you know, not that easy to keep it, but you're gonna be getting so many of these crafts that it's not really gonna matter, right? So essentially you'll just reforge more likely until you get something good. And you end up actually hitting this sort of stuff like pretty often, right? So like you can see T1 res, T3 lightning res, assassin's mark T1, and that's just perfect, right? That's already really good. And then we craft as a prefix, suffixes cannot be changed. And then again we go to reforge life. So we got suffixes cannot be changed, 3 good suffixes, and we reforge life. And then we get absolutely destroyed by harvest. But yeah, you can see second reforge, we already get T1 life. It's a 1 in 9 chance to get this, but you know, it is what it is. And once you end up with a 4 mod item like this, then you ashling, and then you finish off with a craft. So you can see that's what we did here. We did this with mana regen. So then we ashling the fire and cold damage, and we ended up with a craft. And we did a similar thing here. This one we got a bad suffix, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you will rather finish a craft off than, you know, spend too many reforges on it. So yeah, that is how I craft my rings. And aside for that, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions regarding anything, you know, please come by the Twitch, ask questions. We will be doing this for the next few days. And yeah, another thing actually that I forgot to mention is it's good to reforge influences on random rings. So I will have like rings of like random influences, and then I will try to get like Shaper on there. Same with like jewelry. We're going to be trying to get Redeemer on this. So yeah, that is other things that you can do with Harvest. Honestly, the possibilities are endless with Harvest. There's so many more things that you can craft. There's so much stuff that you can craft. And this is just what I decided to do to not get overwhelmed with all these different crafting projects. You can do so much more with Harvest. You do helmets, you know, you can do amulets, you can do belts, but I've chosen to sort of specialize, let's say, in the chest, boots, quivers, and unfortunately large clusters, which I really regret. I recommend you do medium clusters instead of large, because large clusters are honestly like impossible to craft. So I'll probably sell all these bases off and then get some medium clusters. Fire damage over time clusters, mediums, really good. Crit ones are pretty damn good as well. That's about it. But yeah, thanks for watching, boys. Appreciate you. Hope you've learned something from this video. And again, if you have any questions or whatever, just come catch up with us on Twitch. Peace. Have a good one. Love you.